professionals, and hello Espolarians. I hope all of you are in good health and in a happy state. Well, there is a saying, health is wealth. Why? Because being physically, emotionally, and mentally healthy allows us to be active and also to do whatever we want. And that is something money can buy. To delve deeper and provide you an understanding on how crucial health is in regards to our subject community and public health, we will introduce you to basic terms, to the significance of community and public health, to various factors and the health issues relevant to our community. But before that, to formally begin our webinar, we will sing the national anthem to be followed by a prayer and the singing of this senior hymn.
There's one more gift I'd ask of you, Lord. It would be peace here on earth, as gentle as your children's laughter all around, all around. All around.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Okay, I hope everyone is ready because Group 1 will tour you around Module 1 of Community and Public Health like you're in an amusement park. We will jump from one ride to another and each ride represents one lesson. So, we will be having Carousel, Ferris Wheel, and Vikings. What are we waiting for? Let us hop on the first ride, which is the Carousel ride, to be presented by Miss Gail Kimberly Avalos and Miss Cassandra Cadillo.
Before we proceed to the main discussion, let us have first an icebreaker. This icebreaker is called 4 Pics, 1 Word. We'll show you 4 images and ask you to identify the term they each stands for. So, without further ado, let's get into it. For number 1, you're right, the stethoscope and heart represent the word help. For number 2, excellent! These pictures represent community. And for the last number, good job! These pictures represent public health. So to officially start the discussion, the definition of basic terms and the importance will be discussed by Ms. Cassandra Cadillo.
To understand the further lesson, first we need to understand the definition of basic terms and importance of community and public health. What is community? So a community is a social unit with commonalities such as norms, religion, values, customs, or identities. Communities may share a sense of place situated in a given area or in a virtual space through communication platforms. Durable relations that extends beyond immediate genealogical ties also defines a sense of community, important to their identity, rules, practice in social institutions like family, home, work, society, or human at large. What is public health? Public health is the field that combines science and art to prevent disease, extend life, and enhance overall well-being through community-based efforts. This includes improving environmental sanitation, managing community infections, educating individuals about personal health, and organizing medical and nursing services for early disease detection and prevention. We have 2 definitions of health. So first, according to World Health Organization, it is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. According to Kickbush 1989, health is a fundamental resource to the individual, the community, and the society.
let us now talk about the types of communities. On the basis of geographical surroundings and socio-cultural characteristics, the community is divided into 7 communities. This includes geographical, sectoral, functional, rural, urban, and tribal or indigenous communities. Geographical community. It is a community with an ecclesiastical or civil territory. This means a community that is closely spatially located. It has physical boundaries like a river or a path that distinguish or divide it. For instance, there could be multiple neighborhoods in a town, each having their own unique characteristics like caste, religion, rich, and poor. Additionally, a community typically contains a diverse population that inhabits a variety of physical areas. Sectoral community. These are the various groups that people in the larger community might be divided into for reasons of common social, political, economic, cultural, or religious interest. Example of this community are the farmers, fishermen, vendors, women, workers, informal settlers, and etc. Functional community. These are the various groups that share a common work purpose and expertise, professional or administrative. In addition, it is defined as a group of people who, while not necessarily based on where they reside, are united by a common objective, such as supporting the same cause or sharing the same interests and aspirations. A school community made up of teachers, students, or administrators is an example of this community. Rural community, closer relationship. The neighborhood in the rural community have closer ties with one another because they regularly interact and are well acquainted. Produces own food. Most rural communities' main economic activity is agriculture. Almost everyone lives or works on a farm or ranch. Homogeneous culture, because the majority of its members share common cultural, ethnic, religious, and linguistic aspects. Superstitious beliefs, using anting-anting or amulets which are believed to offer protection and good luck, is one of the most generally held beliefs in rural communities. Urban community, business-like relationship. Relationship in this community is artificial, transitory, and business-like. This means that in contrast to people in the rural areas who have closer connections, their relationships are only temporary. Large land area. Urban community is a human settlement with a high population density and an infrastructure of built environment. Diverse cultures. The society is made up of many different groups with different interests, skills, and talents. Various occupations. Urban communities have a variety of occupations including business, manufacturing, and services. In contrast to rural communities where people tend to focus more on the agricultural sector. Urban community. It describes a geographical location that has both the economic and societal traits of an urban area and the fundamental elements of a rural area such as social relationships of the people. And lastly, tribal or indigenous community. It is also known as cultural communities. It is used to describe a group or community that has shared experiences that have shaped the way its members view the world. It covers social classes and racial, ethnic, gender, and religious groups that we are born into. A group we join or become a part of might also be considered. The next topic will be the concepts of community, which will be discussed by Ms. Cassandra Cadillo.
We have 4 relevant concepts of community and the different insights into the process of community engagement. So, we have system perspective, social perspective, virtual perspective, and lastly, the individual perspective. So first, what is a system perspective? It is a community like a living creature, so comprising different parts that represent specialized functions, activities, or interests. So each operating within specific boundaries to meet community needs. So this example includes school focus on education, transportation sector focus on moving people and products, economic entities focus on enterprise and employment, faith organization focus on the spiritual and physical well-being of people, and so on and so forth. So, for the community to function well, each part must effectively carry out its role in relation to the whole organism or organization. So, a healthy community has well-connected, interdependent sectors that share responsibility for recognizing and resolving problems and enhancing its well-being. In system perspective, collaboration is needed for a logical approach to health improvement. So second, we have a social perspective. It is a community can also be defined by describing the social and political networks that link individuals, community organizations, and leaders. So understanding this network is critical to planning effort in engagement. This example includes tracing social ties among individuals that may help engagement leader to identify a community leadership. So, understanding their behavior patterns, identifying its high-risk groups, and strengthen its networks. Third, we have virtual perspectives. From the word itself, virtual. It is an individual or community that rely more on a computer-mediated communication. So, to access information, meet people, and make decisions that affect their lives. Examples include computer-mediated forms of communication such as email, text messaging, chat rooms, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Gmail, so on and so forth. So, these social groups are groups with a common interest that interacts in an organized fashion on the internet are considered virtual communities. So without question, these virtual communities are potential partners for community engaged health promotion and research. Lastly, we have individual perspective. So individuals have their own sense of community membership from the word itself, individual. So individual, they may have a sense of belonging to more than one community. According to William James, a philosopher and psychologist, he considered two perspectives on identity, the I and the me. So the I is how a person thinks about himself or herself, and the me, how others see and think about that person. So sometimes these two views agrees and result in a shared sense of an identity, but other times they do not. So we should be responsible. So people should not make assumptions about identity based on appearance, language, or cultural origin, nor they should make assumptions about an individual's perspective based on his or her identity. As of today, the multiple communities that might be relevant for any individual, including families, workplace, and social, religious, and political association, suggest that individuals are thinking about themselves in a more complex way than was the norm in the past years. So, this criteria that scientists, policymakers, and researchers reflect that one way people perceive a group of proposed participants, but how much those criteria reflect the participants' actual view of themselves is uncertain. With this in mind, practitioners of community engagement need to learn how individuals understand their identity and connection, and to enter relationships and form communities. And now let's hear the further lesson.
Thank you so much, Miss Abalos and Miss Cadillo. I hope you enjoyed your first ride, which is the carousel ride, and you learned a lot. Let's not waste our time and let's hop on to the next ride, which is the Ferris wheel. Lesson 2 will be discussed by Ms. Jerstine Pascual and Mr. Janice Sesma.
Public health is a critical aspect of society that focuses on promoting, protecting, and preserving the health of the entire populations. The importance of public health is highlighted in the report The Future of the Public's Health in the 21st Century, which emphasizes the need for collective action to assure the conditions in which people can be healthy. Here are some key points to consider when discussing the importance of public health. First, we have prevention. Public health takes a proactive and preventive approach to focus on the health of the entire populations, while they are still healthy rather than waiting for individuals to become sick. This approach can help to reduce the burden of disease and improve overall health and outcomes. Second, we have community. The community plays a critical role in public health programs, and community engagement is essential for the success of these programs. Local government officials and agencies, as well as other organizations, have important roles in health-related responsibilities and policies that may have potential health consequences. For the third importance of public health is the determinants of health. Public health considers the broad array of determinants of health, including social, economic, and environmental factors, and addresses them to create health protective and supportive environment, policies, and systems. Next is health as a resource. Health is a fundamental resource to individuals, communities, and society. When people are healthy, they are better able to participate in society, contribute to the economy, and enjoy a higher quality of life. Lastly, we have global health. Public health is not limited to local communities but also has a global impact. The COVID-19 pandemic is a clear example of how public health issues can quickly become global issues. Therefore, investing in public health is crucial for the health and well-being of people worldwide. In conclusion, public health is a critical aspect of society that focuses on promoting, protecting, and preserving the health of entire populations. It takes a proactive and preventive approach to reduce the burden of disease and improve overall health outcomes. Community engagement, addressing determinants of health, and recognizing health as a resource are all essential components of public health. Finally, investing in public health is crucial for the health and well-being of people worldwide.
I'm Jersey Pascal and I will be talking about the factors affecting community and public health. Number 1. Physical factors. Industrial development. Communities that are industrially developed are more likely to be affected by numerous diseases due to toxic waste products from the industries that are released into water bodies and atmosphere, and due to congestion of settlements leading to slum development, hence contagious diseases compared to areas that are not industrially developed. Example, air pollution and water contamination from industrial discharge. Community size. A dense, polluted, or overpopulated community can easily be attacked by communicable diseases. Example, overcrowding. Geographical location. Some communities are more prone to diseases due to the geographical location. Example, some communities are located in swampy areas are more prone to diseases, especially during heavy rains. They are affected by floods, which can lead to manipulation of disease-causing organisms if the water is stagnant. Environment. A clean environment is very vital to the proper health of a community, which minimizes the occurrence and transmission of diseases, unlike a dirty environment which easily leads to an outbreak of disease. Social cultural factors. Traditions, beliefs or traditions possessed by communities greatly affect the health of its people. Example, female genital mutilation. Economic and political status. Economy is a community that is economically well off, has low chances of suffering from disease breakouts because they have proper health care and water drainage systems, unlike a poor community. Government. Since the government involves planning, implementing, and provision of community services such as a water supply, medical supplies, and other needs which can directly affect the community's health. Community organization. Community organization are ways in which communities organize their resources such as taxes, which can be very helpful in control of diseases and supply of sufficient and efficient medical care even in times of crisis, unlike communities without proper accountability of their taxes, which can partly be allocated to the health sector. Educational factors. Poor education or illiteracy affects the health of a community when people doesn't have education on how they can prevent themselves from diseases. Example, health education on the use of mosquito-treated nets to prevent malaria. Health education on the environmental hygiene so as to prevent diseases such as cholera and trachoma.
Thank you so much, Miss Pascual and Mr. Sesma. I hope our viewers learned a lot about the factors that affect community and public health. The question is, are you still there? Hang tight because we will be on our last ride, the Vikings. Lesson 3 will be discussed by Mr. Zaki Ortega, Mr. Austin Macong, and yours truly, Camille Bernadette Aman. What are we waiting for? Let's go!
Why hello there! We are now on our last ride. Ready to scream for the last time? May I present to you the health issues related to the community. Up, not so fast. Because before that, I know that you've been in a lot of rides lately. And so let me break that tiredness by joining me here in this icebreaker entitled 2 Facts and a Myth. For this game, we will have 3 questions or statements, and you'll just have to choose which among the 3 statements is the myth. Get? Alright, are you ready? Here we go. First set of statements. Hearing impaired people can speak. Visually impaired people acquire sixth sense. People with disabilities have a very normal lifestyle like anyone else. What do you think is the myth? Time's up! The myth is visually impaired person acquire sixth sense. Although most people who are blind develop their remaining senses more fully, you do not call it the sixth sense. Alright, let's move on. Everyone with tuberculosis is infectious. Tuberculosis is treatable. Tuberculosis can spread by touching bed linen or toilet seats. Which one is the myth? The myth is, everyone with tuberculosis is infectious. You got it right. Well, this is untrue because someone with tuberculosis can only transmit the infection if they develop symptoms. This means that someone with a latent infection cannot transmit tuberculosis. The last set of statements. There are herbal products that can cure cancer. Cancer was first described by the ancient Egyptians. More than half of all cancers are preventable. Which one is the myth? Time's up. The myth is there are herbal products that can cure cancer. You got it right? Well, there actually aren't. Although some studies suggest that alternatives or complementary therapies, including some herbs, may help patients only cope with the side effects of cancer treatment. No herbal products have been shown to be effective for treating cancer. Well, now that ends our icebreaker. How are you feeling? Do you feel excited for our last topic? Well, let me bring to you Camille Bernadette Aman to discuss what is health and well-being. Camille, hop on.
Health and well-being does not only pertain to the perfect state of our body or how fit we are as a person. Health and well-being has a wide scope and factors to consider, which includes poor health, disability, disease, or death. All these factors limits our senses, movements, and our ability to accomplish tasks. But before it comes to that point where a disease develops, there are some risk factors first. What is a risk factor? A risk factor is a condition, behavior, or characteristic. Risk factors often presented individually, but it cannot or does not exist alone. Risk factors coexist and interact with one another. Example of a risk factor is physical inactivity over time, which causes weight gain, high cholesterol level, and high blood pressure. When these factors collaborate, it increases the chance or the probability of the person to develop heart disease or other health-related problems. In our country, Philippines, there are certain diseases that have been occurring for a very long time. These diseases does not only affect the lifestyle of the Filipinos, but also some Filipinos due to diseases died. What are the leading causes of mortality here in the Philippines? First of all, what is mortality? Mortality, according to Merriam-Webster Dictionary, is the state of being subjected to death. Or to put it simply, it is death. What are the leading causes of death here in the Philippines? We have diseases of the heart. Heart is a very important organ in our body. So when it is damaged, it really takes a toll to our overall health. Examples of heart disease are coronary artery disease and congenital heart disease. Next, we have disease of the vascular system. When we say vascular, the affected part of our body are the vessels. Examples of vascular diseases are atherosclerosis, pulmonary embolism, and carotid artery disease. Next, we have pneumonia, which is the infection of one or both lungs. We have cancer. It is very popular in our society, and there are various types of cancers like breast cancer, leukemia, colon cancer, and many more. Next, we have tuberculosis. Next is chronic obstructive pulmonary disease and its allied conditions. We also have diabetes mellitus, nephritic syndrome, and lastly, other respiratory diseases. As you may notice, most of these leading causes of mortality here in the Philippines are caused or related to the lifestyle of Filipinos. With this, it teaches us to be cautious in what we eat, what we drink, and even in what we do.
Thank you so much, Camille, for that. Now, what are the risk factors commonly shared by lifestyle-related diseases? Alright, the risk factors that are linked with lifestyle-related diseases are smoking, unhealthy diet, physical inactivity, and stress. So, better watch out for those who love smoking, because even e-cigarettes, the vape, they pose threats. For those who doesn't really care about what you eat, they just put everything and anything in their mouths. Or for also those whose hobbies are lying down and sleeping, and for those that are stressed, you guys definitely need an outlet. Make time to unwind, have time for yourself. Me first, they say. Alright, let's move on. The diseases that kill more Filipinos are called non-communicable diseases. These are the NCDs, no? The main NCDs are diabetes. We know diabetes, heart disease, stroke, cancer, and chronic diseases that affect the airway and lungs. While these diseases affect different parts of the body in different ways, they often share common origins. The good news is, many of these factors, such as unhealthy diet, the ones that I've mentioned a while ago, physical inactivity, tobacco use, and harmful use of alcohol, I know for sure that a lot of you can relate to that. These are avoidable. Alright. Thank God these are avoidable. Well, anyway, so what can we do with these diseases? Actually, the Philippines is taking some good steps to prevent these NCDs, like taxing tobacco use and sugary drinks. That's why they're sort of expensive but still affordable. But yeah. But Filipinos are still at high risk of coming down with one or more of these deadly diseases. Let me just share you some data. More than 1/3 of people aged 15 years and above in the Philippines. Some 15.7 million are children, women, and men. These are smokers. While over half of men and women aged 20 years old and above are binge drinkers. More than 1 in 5 people have high blood pressure, and only half of the population does sufficient physical activity. Oh my God, right? The proportion of adults who are overweight or obese has doubled in the last 20 years. And obesity in children and teens is rising at an alarming rate. With all of the data presented, we can truly say that these diseases or NCDs are really prevalent in our country, through which over 90% of Filipino adults did not meet the World Health Organization's recommended intake of 400 grams of fruits and vegetables per day. Sometimes even lower grams of these fruits and vegetables are attained. About 30% of children suffer from stunting. Okay, so what is this stunting? This is actually a condition which further predisposes them to an increased risk for obesity, diabetes, and cardiovascular disease later in life. I definitely know how you feel. Well, if not so much, I guarantee that the next topic will. And so, what are the implications of having such diseases? Mr. Ong, go ahead and take the wheel on.
I will be presenting about the World Health Organization's impact on chronic diseases in the Philippines. Chronic diseases are the leading cause of death and disability worldwide, according to the WHO. This pie chart shows the cause of death for people of various ages in the Philippines in 2002. Total number of deaths in the Philippines in 2002 are 449,000. Communicable maternal and perinatal nutritional deficits account for 34% of all deaths or 152,660 people. This is the highest number of deaths across all ages. Cardiovascular disease is second with 27%, followed by other chronic diseases at 12%, injuries at 9%, cancer with 6%, chronic respiratory disease at 6%, and diabetes at 3%, or 13,470 fatalities in 2002. Chronic diseases accounted for 57% of all deaths in the Philippines in 2002, according to WHO. In 2002, the overall number of fatalities from chronic diseases in the Philippines was 253,000. The data reported in this information sheet were calculated by the World Health Organization using standard method to maximize cross-country comparability. They are not necessarily the official statistics of WHO member states. This graph depicts the projected prevalence of overweight in the Philippines for males and females aged 30 and above in 2005 and 2015. In 2005, 22% of men were overweight, whereas 77% of men were not. In 2015, 24% of males were overweight, with 76% of men not being overweight. It can be observed here that the prevalence of overweight males has increased by 1% in the last 10 years. In 2005, 34% of women were overweight compared to 66% who were not. Women were overweight 44% of the time in 2015, whereas women were not overweight 54% of the time. As can be seen, the prevalence of overweight women grew by 10% in 10 years. We look into it because an elevated body mass index, overweight, and obesity is a major cause of chronic disease. Overweight prevalence in the Philippines is anticipated to rise in both men and women over the next decade. A healthy diet, regular physical activity, and avoidance of tobacco product could prevent at least 80% of premature heart disease, stroke, type 2 diabetes, and 40% of cancer. There are cost-effective interventions that have succeeded in many countries. The most successful programs have blended a variety of population-wide techniques with individual interventions.
Thank you so much for listening and watching to our webinar. Again, we are the Group 1 and we are willing to help and also to provide you an understanding of community and public health. That's all. Thank you. Bye-bye.